Hello and welcome to episode 100 of Just Keep Writing.
A podcast for writers.
By writers.
To keep you writing.
I'm Marshall.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brent.
I'm LP.
And I'm Will.
Boys, we did it. We can quit after this, right? Episode
First
100.
try.
That's it.
Y'all, I'm ready for my 6-figure contract. Let's go.
So, are we in syndication now?
Yeah, I think that's officially it. Yes, syndication.
Yeah, syndication.
All right, guys, we are here. We did 100 episodes. We did a thing. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to hand it off to Will, though, because he has a plan for a 100th episode that we don't know about yet. And I'm pretty excited to find out. So here we go.
Well, I guess I'm going to ask this question to all of you. So three of you will have to be prepared. So I would rather take volunteers. Who would like to volunteer for the first question?
Yo, right here. Let's go. I'll knock this one out the park. Let's go.
Nick, as a founding member, Nick should go first.
Everybody
Exactly.
first up. I was like, y'all are crazy out here.
He was excited. I'm ready.
I'm pumped. Like right now, it's 10:45. I just finished my homework. I got nothing else to do. Let's go.
Now I'm afraid of what the question is going to be.
All right. So, Nick, are you ready? Okay. I want you to describe in 3 words that could be completely unrelated of how the journey has been making this podcast.
Ooh.
Eventful. Learning. Growth.
Okay, that's great. We're gonna leave that there for right now before we unpack them. And now, who would like to go next? But you're gonna get a different question. So I guess the idea
I was going to write
is
down
to
my
be
3
prepared.
words.
Oh nope, just not doing that. We're doing a
I'm
little
next.
something different.
Okay.
All right.
Marshall, I want to know, how would you describe seeing the growth of the podcast over the last 100 episodes in 3 words?
I would say interesting, community, and love.
Okay, thank you so much. Who would like to go
Everybody.
next?
I'll go.
Brent, I want you to describe in 3 words what has surprised you the most about recording the podcast.
3 words. What surprised me the most? This is interesting. 3 words to describe what surprised me the most.
I just think it's interesting. We're all surprised that he's having us describe things in 3 words.
No, I'm not surprised about that. I'm just.
Oh,
trying to
you're
think
not?
of-
I was still, too.
No.
Continue.
Yeah, I'm.
Okay,
I'm
fair
totally
enough.
was. I was like, that's been our primary question. Okay, 3 words. Universality, I guess. Emotions and community. Yeah, I'll go with those.
Oh, shit.
Okay, LP, you're next.
Yeah, okay.
I want you to describe in 3 words where you would like the podcast to go in the next 100 episodes.
You know I'm just a guest, right?
No, you're not. You're more than a guest. You're like family now, so you're just here, okay?
I think you've been on enough times to warrant not
Yeah.
guest status.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm not even putting featuring LP anymore, and when you're on the show, so
Yeah, so like you're just one of
That's
us.
fucking rude.
Just roll through.
I want to be Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. How dare you?
Look, if it makes you feel better, you've kind of reached Maurice Broda status where you've been a
Yeah.
guest so many times that like we just expect you on when we need you and when you want to.
Y'all were
It's
surprised
just,
when I
you know,
showed up tonight. Shut up.
No one reminded me. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not
Nobody-
mad at
nobody
you. I'm just
told me.
saying.
that's okay.
You were on the email, so I don't know what to tell you, sir.
No, I wasn't.
You were on the email, sir. Where do I want to see the podcast go over the next year? I would love for there to be. I would love everyone to come to Worldcon next year, so that there can be a live recording as an event at Worldcon. I would love I would love Just Keep Writing to get on the ballot for Hugo's for Best Fan Cast. And I would love
Vicious.
for Just Keep Writing to get some crossover conversation. Like there are a lot of like related places that take on that will feature like an episode of Writing Excuses or like talk about writing excuses. I would love y'all to get some press. I'd love for people to talk about you and like the work that you're doing and the community that you're building, because you're doing it and it's a little insular, and I think that it deserves the attention.
That's wonderful. That is very nice. All right, so we're going to start off with Marshall first. You described the podcast interesting, community, and love on seeing the growth. So could we unpack those words?
Yeah, and I think what LP said actually about the growth I'm seeing is more contained, and that is very interesting to me because the people that listen to the episodes, that give us feedback, that are in the Discord, that we see at events are like the greatest people ever. And I find that connects with community as well. And it's interesting in that I feel like although the numbers aren't insane, I don't need that. It's interesting enough for me to have just these amazing people engaging with this thing that we try to do as consistently as we can. You know what I mean? And that just makes me very happy. So
And
that's
then
interesting.
love.
It's much better to find your tribe than to try to cater to the world. And like, I think in a lot of ways, you guys have found your tribe. And I just think that there's a potential for the tribe to be bigger without necessarily pandering to any like specific audience. Like, you start a podcast and you don't know that anyone's going to listen, right? And you just do it on the good faith and your love of doing it. And as your podcast has grown, grown hosts, grown subscribers across different platforms, grown in like the Discord community, like I think it can grow. I think it can scale really largely without y'all changing the core of what it is that you do. And I don't think that's true for everybody. I don't think that's true for everybody. So I definitely think it's a thing to think about.
No, and I think that's why I think that the growth is interesting because it's not up, it's more sideways and circular. You know what I mean? Like it's, we've had these folks that I love. Let's go. I'm gonna wrap in my love one because I saw a beautiful handful of people while I was on the Writing Excuses cruise that have been part of our community, Just Keep Writing, and our writing communities for several years, especially, during COVID and everything else. And I just to be able to hug those folks again and to be able to spend some time with those folks and share a drink with those folks it's a huge, huge deal. And it broke my heart not being able to hang out with you guys the next week, because I did that event, you know what I'm saying? But like, I can't wait to, whether he wants it or not, either of them, I'm going to hug Brent. I'm going to hug LP when I see him. And I can't wait for that moment. You know what I mean? But that's part of that. That's part of that love. That's part of this community and why I love writing communities and this writing community in particular, right? It doesn't matter. And I talk about podcasting all the time with my students and stuff too. And it's like, if you're in it to make money, you're not a celebrity, good luck. It's about the community you're trying to build and the content you want to create because it's super fun and you want to hang out with your friends. And that's what I love about this. So
thank you, Marshall.
Sure,
Brent, let's go to you.
All right.
Brent, was what surprised you the most of recording the podcast? Universality, emotions, and community. So talk to me about those words.
Okay, so universality. I in recording the podcast and in talking to the many, many authors that we have, the thing that has, and it shouldn't have surprised me, but it still did in a way, is how many of us share the same fears, anxieties, and also hopes, and and dreams about what this thing called writing can do for us. And I think seeing it just play out in the many episodes that this podcast has done, I think is hopefully of some balm to any writer who's doubting themselves and doubting their journey and doubting their writing and doubting that they can get projects done. Because ding ding, I've been there recently. I think that the thing this podcast does a really good job in showing is that no matter how far you get in this writing game, no matter how many books you put out, no matter how big your success is, that those things will always linger and they will always be there. So yeah, that's universality. Emotions is next, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about emotions.
Oh, so all right. So I think that the podcast definitely surprised me in terms of we're talking about just the art of story and the stories that have touched us and the things that have mattered to us and how it can lead to some really, or how it has led to some really like great and powerful discussions about things that are existent in our own lives and our own journeys. And again, it's not something that should surprise me, but it still did, in terms of just like how much I think all of us have been willing to kind of like just lay out there on the table about ourselves. And I think that's resonated with people, actually. I think that's one of the things that resonates with people the most, is that we talk about story, we talk about craft, we talk about nerdy stuff, blah, blah, blah. But we also have no reservations about, going to the deeper places when it comes to talking about ourselves and how that connects to our work.
And community.
Okay, so this one's more of a fun answer. It surprised me just how much, like, how many people have like come to this podcast and listen to it and recognize people, us out in, I don't know, in convention spaces or whatever, this, that, and the third. And just like how much people appreciate the things that we say and the things that we talk about, and opportunities have actually come out of it. Like I actually got invited to an anthology because of they listened to what we talk about on the podcast. So that was definitely surprising to me, because I never expect anything. So any success that comes along or any good thing that comes along is always a surprise to me.
Yeah. Now, LP, I'm going to go to you. Nick is going to go last. So talk to me about like, no, best for last, Nick. Where you want the podcast to go? You said WorldCon live recordings, ballot for Hugos, and get some crossover conversation, which you kind of talked about. But why do you want to see us do a WorldCon live recording? Like, what do you think? Talk to me what that's about.
I've seen Writing Excuses do WorldCon live recordings, and like I think that's super cool. And I've seen Charlie Jane Anders and Annalie Newitz do live recordings of Our Opinions Are Correct, which I also thought was really cool. And like they were on the program 3 times as cool, right? And so it's just like, you guys are building a community. If with more people in this community, it will reach farther and will impact more people. And as that happens, I think it also creates other opportunities. So it would be great to me if y'all develop more opportunities, if you're able to do more things. I know that you guys have dreams for what you want this community to become. And I feel like that's the next logical step in helping y'all become that. In addition to that, thinking about the Hugo's ballot, best fan cast. There are a lot of people doing really great work. This year, Shonda McGuire and Friends won best fan cast, and it felt really kind of weird. Not because like their work is crap, not that by any stretch of the imagination, but Shonda McGuire is this really fucking famous author. And when people, in my opinion, I think that when people don't know the people on the ballot, what they do is they default to a name that they do rather than going out and consuming the content that's there. I think that there's enough groundswell. I think there are enough people in your Discord who, if they were voting members, could sway that conversation. And I think you could get on the ballot. And if we could somehow entice people to use their free Apple Music or the Spotify they're playing for to listen to some episodes, I think they get a lot out of it. And maybe, just maybe, they'll run over to the Discord and they'll get a lot out of that. And so, like, all I'm thinking about right now is like the way that y'all are about to exponentially scale your community. And I think I think there's another level up that's about to happen as the boys, finish their master's program. Because it's going to be a different, like right now they're like, oh, we're in the trenches, we're working on things. But then as they move from 3 to 6 months past their MFA program, it's going to be work in production mode. Obviously kids, obviously wife, obviously podcast. But you're going to have two people who are in kind of the exact same place and pushing through that way. And I think it's going to create a lot of momentum for the other two of you, but also the rest of the community. And so I'm super excited. It's like, for me, my goal is to have my novel like readable by the time they finish their program. Even though I know that they're going to have their novels done by January. I don't give a fuck. Shut up. I don't want to talk to you about this. But like, y'all finish your program, I'm gonna be finished with my program, and that's the goal for me. But I think that's also going to help things, and it'll put y'all in a really great place to grow the podcast even farther.
That's awesome. Nick, let's go to you and yours. I asked, like, what's it been like for you to see the podcast grow over the last 100 episodes? And you said eventful, learning, and growth. So let's talk about them.
All right. Eventful, right?
Yeah.
I see the growth of this podcast and what we've been able to do from the perspective of certain timed events. We started because we went on a cruise together, on a retreat together, and just enjoyed the conversations we were having on the boat. We kicked off the podcast with a review of a local conference that I went to. We brought Will onto the show because of a retreat we were able to go to and meet you on. So as you kind of go on, there's certain milestones that we hit. And it's almost always centered around big events in our lives and in our writing career and things like that. Bringing Brent on, right? We had Pride Month with the three of us, and then we all knew, like, no, we need an additional voice to this. Bringing Brent on, right? Like, simple things like that. Bringing LP on because Brent knew LP, and LP was about to release a short story, and we wanted to cover it anyways, right? It's been so fun seeing that the events that we want to be involved with have centered around how we've grown and how we've kind of staged ourselves, all accidentally. None of it's been planned.
And that was eventful, or was that all of them?
That was eventful.
All right, so talk to me about growth.
You mean learning?
No, we can do growth. I said growth. We'll do learning next.
Oh, okay. Growth. Sorry. This for me, this one is both personal growth, and it is a growth amongst us as friends and writers, and I'll say coworkers at this point. Just being able to have the space to grow as writers and understand that, like, what we're doing is bigger than our individual selves. And I think the growth of the podcast as a whole, LP hits right on it. We have a very specific group that we could follow and bring into I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. Bring into our community here and help out, and people that we can bring along with our journey as well. That's a terrible answer, but
no, it's not. And what about learning?
Also, before you say that, I want to take whatever LP said before that and put it in a soundbite on like some sort of like social media or something. I'm still thinking about what LP said about about the events and stuff like that. I just appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Continue, Nick.
Wait, which part do you want? I'm just confused.
All of it.
Most of what you said, but mostly having to do with the the Hugo stuff and the other stuff, just about like the Discord and everything else. It was just nice what you said. I appreciate you.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
If I played it back,
Nick.
you'd appreciate it.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
Learning.
So learning, man, to see where me and Marshall started and what we talked about and called craft talks, to what we talk about now. I mean, it's a huge learning curve for us to realize like we weren't exactly where we needed to be able to host a podcast, let alone like have a successful one. So learning, like, I mean, that comes with everything, bringing on the right people to co-host with us, bring on the right authors to interview and agents to interview and things like that. And not just learning for listeners to learn and stuff like that. A lot of what we've done like has helped me out personally so much in my own writing career, taking like what we're discussing and applying it to my own writing. So learning for me is, that's a big one because it's taken me years ahead of my writing than just sitting by myself in a basement trying to write a book.
Okay, I think all of your answers were really wonderful. So now one of you gets to ask me a question. Who wants to ask?
Ooh.
Brent.
Let's see. Okay, I gotta think of something. Actually, you know what? What has brought you the most joy since you have been on the podcast?
And feel free to put that in 3 words.
See, I'm
No,
3
no.
words is Will's model and method, and I will not take it. So
Fair enough.
My biggest joy is you guys doing Just Keep Writing While Black, actually.
Oh.
I think they're always the best episodes, and I think it's great that Brent, you and Marshall do that and really talk to other, Black creators, and they're always my favorite episodes, and they're always the first episodes I tell everyone to listen to.
the one with Nia and the one with Shingai, I mean, all of them are really good, actually, but
Yeah, but
those two
those two
first
are
ones, that it was like we were finding our feet, and they were both just so willing to let us find our feet. So those were good.
So now I asked LP this, and I'm going to change his question when I ask the 3 of you, but I want to know we'll start with Marshall, what you want the next 100 episodes to be. How do you want to see it grow? Where do you want to see it go?
if I didn't cut this out in the final edit, I would just go back to what LP said. But no. But for real though, like I want to expand the community, and I would love to get together more often. And I'm going to echo what LP said. I love live recordings. It's something that I did every single year when I went to San Diego Comic-Con and we're talking about geek stuff. Like those are the kind of things I love, getting together in person with writers and the people in my community, and sit down with them and put a mic in somebody's hand and see what they say, because that's the most fun I'm having podcasting is sitting down with my friends and listening to them talk about what they're working on and what they're struggling with and TV and movies and whatever else. I don't have super ambitious goals for the podcast, which is probably not a good answer. But I want us to talk more about craft, and I want us to talk to more authors about craft. That's why I see it.
Awesome. Brent.
Oh, I would like to see us, you know what, to kind of mimic some of what LP was saying, just kind of like expand the brand, and I guess, reach out and connect, or have them connect with us. Some of these other podcasts are doing similar things, and it would be really cool if we had like a guest host from another podcast, or like we swapped hosts for like an episode or something. I think that'd be fun. That'd be something cool to do. I actually would love to do, and I think I brought this up at one point. I want to do like, okay, everybody remembers, well, not everybody remembers this, but there was a Fantastic Four storyline where all the Fantastic Four got switched out with different superheroes. I want to do that with us one episode. I want to do one episode where it's like, it's none of us here and it's a completely different group of people doing an episode, or even a couple episodes. I don't know. I think that'd be fun. I have people in my head that I would like love to see take over. What's something else? I would love to see us do like I don't know, like a mini writing workshop of some sort, or just like, something where not even a workshop, but something where it's like a virtual like write-in or something, something encouraging, something oriented to help people with where they're at. Because I think the bread and butter of this podcast, at least in my opinion, from what I've gathered, is that we do a good job reaching people who are either just starting or they're kind of like at that point where the train's going to chugga up the hill, but it kind of hasn't like hit the peak yet where it's coming down. So yeah, so I'd like to see something like that, and I wouldn't mind actually seeing us like do some more like, I don't know, like different media platforms, maybe like something on Twitch, something on like I don't know, YouTube Live, something like that. Just switch it up. Try to expand what we're doing and how we're doing it. So that's what I got.
And Nick?
Unlike Marshall, I'm very ambitious. If you go back to our New Year's episode, I wanted to be on the heel go back last year. But I think for the next 100 episodes, if we look at how long it got us to get to 100 episodes, almost 3 full years. Yep. Just over 3 years. We started in 2019, right? So, the next 3 years is the way I'll look at it, right? I actually want to see us as individuals get more work off of our podcast. Kind of like Brent got invited to an anthology, and I see that happening because LP, you're already producing. You're already pushing great stuff out there. Brent, you've had invites. You've got a novella coming out there, right? Like, you guys are like the forefront leading the charge into our podcast getting that bigger brand, right? Because you guys are going to be known for being on the show. And I think for me, Marshall and Will, like, we're right there. We're going to be getting invites here in the next year or so. And so I'd like to see all of us get invited to be part of other anthologies and things like that, or be guest speakers and guest of honors. I would love crossover episodes. Those always sound like fun, especially, the Fantastic Four format, I think would be great. One of the other things I would like to see more of, I want to see almost a separate segment that's, on a monthly consistency of just Keep Writing While Black. I think there's a space for it. I think there's a need for it. Like, the biggest thing, there is a need for that in our communities out there. And I think a lot of our listeners would appreciate that. But I also want, I want to do like 1 or 2 episodes a year in all Spanish with all Spanish authors, right? Because I just think that'd be fun. I think it's different and unique. And really, again, going with the branding perspective, is we really want to help other people out that don't always have a voice of their own.
And LP, you answered like, you wanted us to go to conventions or anything, but what would you also like to see, like, in 100 episodes? Like, how do you want to be interconnected with us?
Bitch, I have the dream. Why do I have to come up with more answers? Jesus.
I like this because I like putting you on the spot. It's just so fun.
That's like your reactions when he asked the question.
No, I know, but I was like, you know what? But where do you see yourself in the mix of us? Because you said where you wanted the podcast to go, but I want to know where we can see you in the mix with us in the next 100 episodes.
How frequently do you want to hang out with us?
There's a group chat. I'm not on the group chat yet. If I get on the group chat, then maybe we can discuss other stuff. But like, at this point, bitch, I'm a guest. I'm Kimmy Gibbler. I'm breaking into your house. I'm borrowing sugar. And then you don't have any sugar when you're like, oh, I bought milk yesterday. I was like, oh, sorry. I baked a cake and had 3 bowls of cereal. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I think those are good answers. So you need to be on the group chat. Okay, we'll get you there. And you'll just be like, in on the podcast more. I want to talk about, we've talked about like what the podcast has done for us and like where we see it. I'm going to give you, I didn't really ask the question for me, so I'm just going to say how I feel. I think I'm not worried about getting something from the podcast as far as like work or anything for writing, because I believe all of us are doing the necessary work, and that's going to happen because we're working, right? I'm not worried about us going to record live shows, because I know we're going to do that, because the time for putting in to other communities that aren't bringing us along with them, we need to do it for ourselves. And you need to have that ambition to go. So if you want to do talks, Nick, you want to do talks, Marshall, like, we need to put ourselves out there. So we have to think of ways for next year that we could put ourselves out more like that. And I think, we also need to look at what's established and where there's gaps missing, because there's some gaps missing, and to me, where I see the podcast going and wanting to go, the future is female, right? So we need to have a lot more women, identifying women, trans hosts on here that can really give it, because so far it's been a sausage fest, which, we're all coming from different walks of life, which I think makes us great, but we can do better.
I know a they who's interested in coming on the podcast.
Well, I was saying, like, it's funny that actually I think the Just Keep Writing While Black ratio has actually been has trended more female than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Intentional. I'm gonna say that was a bit intentional on my part, but I was seeking it out because I wanted to hear it from Black women.
I think that's great. I think we should have more women, more Black women, more women all around just on the podcast as much as possible. Not just talking about what they're promoting, but also like really talking about craft, and getting into these discussions because their viewpoints are needed. Because as open-minded and as, forward-thinking we can all think we are, there's things we're missing because it's not our experience to identify as female and be a female in the walking world. So that's where I see us. I see us just constantly not settling for what's working and constantly pushing about new boundaries. So I know, Marshall, you said you don't have any like great aspirations for the podcast, but that shit's going to change.
No, okay. Can I address that? Because I didn't mean it like I don't have like the reason I said that the way I said it is because I've podcasted a long time. Podcasting is just a very saturated market. So when I say aspirations, I don't mean like
limited sense of self.
What?
Wait, what?
Identifying with a limited sense of self?
No. What I'm saying is that
I was confused.
I'm not trying. The aspirations I don't have are like, we're gonna make $1 million from this. Like, I'm not like those are the kind of aspirations I'm talking about. I mean, I have really big hopes for what we can do as a community and stuff like that. I just mean, like, when I look at like the podcasting realm, I'm not like, oh shit, I want to increase our listeners by like 10,000, because that's insanity, because that's just not the market. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by that.
Okay. No, I just think, listen, if anyone gets in the thing to podcast for money, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Because you really do have to be a celebrity. I think our heart is more about building a community and reaching as many creative people as possible and hopefully uplifting them or making them laugh and just thinking about story and why it's important and stuff like that.
Which we can definitely do.
Yeah. Totally.
And I think we are doing, and yeah.
Everything takes time, you know? I think just the fact that Marshall and Nick started this and it's still here 100 episodes later is amazing, and you should both be really proud of yourselves.
Well, and I'll tell a quick story too off of because I did just come off of the Writing Excuses retreat, which is where we got the idea for this. Is where me and Nick met. You know, and one of the things that, you know, not just I was saying, but like the core hosts of the retreat were saying, we're talking about our show and community in that same breath. You know what I mean? And the idea of me actually having a table like an instructor and having people rotate to me is being able to talk about what we do and talk up the show and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I want to be able to do more of. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that makes me really happy. Like I'm like, I by no stretch of the imagination am I going to think we're going to jump up thousands of listeners, and that's not the intention. But the intention is that people are able to jump in the Discord and have that conversation with people based off of what we had dinner over. You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of things that make me really happy. And I want to be able to do that at other conventions and stuff eventually as well. There was this little pandemic thing that got in the way of some of those ambitions, but I'm really hoping that we, you know, at some point we can kind of get back to that a little easier, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Now that the apocalypse is slowly, well,
yeah, well,
part of it is ending.
Yeah.
Part of it's not.
Right.
All right. Anyone who wants to ask questions or make comments?
Questions and comments. Let's see.
You know what? This is what we'll do. I want everyone to ask one question at least to everyone on the panel.
Oh, hell. All right.
I got one.
Go ahead.
It's not a 3-word format either. Sorry.
No, that's my thing. Okay.
Yeah,
no one's disappointed.
Yeah.
How has this podcast changed you as a person and a writer?
Ooh, why are we getting so deep?
No, right? This is supposed to be a fun episode. Come on.
This is a fun episode.
I'm joking.
It's fun. It's just deep. All right. How has it changed me as a person and a writer? Well, I think as a person, the two actually go hand in hand. The one can't exist without the other. So I would say as a person, it has made me a lot more willing to be, I think I'm much more willing to be introspective now about the things I do and why I do them than I was before. So how that kind of ties into my writing is that I'm a lot more willing to think about why I'm making the choices that I'm making as I'm telling the story, but even more so thinking about why I made those choices after the story is done and over with. So yeah.
I like that one.
LP.
I mean, I'm just a fucking guest on this podcast.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
It's like I spend a lot of time here.
Yeah, we can't
podcast in a year.
All right, I'll go.
I don't think we can ask LP like about the life changing within 5 episodes. I mean, we're great, but I don't think.
But tell me, is LP part of the community?
Oh yeah,
I am part of the community, but you didn't invite. Like, it's 100 people on the Discord.
Yeah, I mean, I feel where he's coming from. It's kind of hard to be like, how we change your life? Answer now.
But LP's been part of the community, right?
In any way, shape,
or form, has the podcast influenced your writing or helped you change anything?
You know, I've been very.
I'll change the question for you.
Please.
I'll change your question. And you're going last now. Marshall.
So one of the things that that I've made kind of a point of in my life, just as a mental thing, is trying to make writing a bigger part of my life, which is why I'm in grad school, right? But at the same time, I made a point of not letting go of this podcast because this podcast is about writing. So I feel like this podcast is part of the way I'm making writing part of my life. Does that make sense? So like, I want to make sure I'm talking about writing, I'm engaging with the community, and I'm keeping going forward and making sure that like I'm writing, I'm talking about writing, and I'm also doing this thing that I've done for years and years. I love podcasting. So why not sync them all up? So that's how. I'm not sure if changing me is the answer I'm giving you, but getting more in line with making writing part of what I want to be going forward. Does that make sense? Did I not answer the question? You're all looking very confused.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Well,
I think it has made me feel not so alone. Because I don't think before this, I think I had people that liked the same things I do, or I wasn't always so open about like the nerdy nerd things I like. And I think it also made me feel like life is really interesting about how you meet people that you suddenly feel a kindredness with. And all of that is because of story and art. And I think that can be really powerful. And, you know, I never had brothers. And I feel like in a way now I have brothers that I've always wanted. And that is something that I really love that you guys gave me.
that's
That was
very
so
cute
gay.
and
I love that
heartfelt.
for you.
I love like, oh. So LP, I had to readjust your question here. Because you've only been on 5 episodes and we have not affected your life enough to make a visible change.
See, just take what I'm saying.
You know what, Nick? Why don't you just ask your question? You silly bitch. You raggedy silly bitch.
Hey, look, I feel like you are a part of the show. Like you come on, you ain't no special guest. Like you ain't.
You ain't special
You call
either.
it like it is. Look, you call it like it is. Oh, I love it though. So LP, for you, like you've talked a lot about community, finding your tribe, and things like that. Like, tell anyone. Let's say this is someone's first episode. Why should they be part of our community? Why should they be on our Discord and listen to us? Like, what are they? What advantage does our podcast give them?
Well, I think part of it is some of the things that Will said about feeling less alone in this prospect of writing. We talk about writing as this super solitary thing, and when people start writing, they don't necessarily have communities most of the time. Or, you know, finding a community that's at your level can be kind of challenging because, you know, yeah, I've been in writing groups where the writers are less ambitious than me. And it can feel really challenging. And I've been in writing group communities where like, people get jealous of the things that are going on in your life. It's like, well, thanks. I was being supportive of you because I'm supportive of you, not because like I think I'm better than you. But great, I'm glad I know how you feel about things. And so, making it less lonely, having people you can bounce ideas off of. I've been going through some like post Clarion burnout. I haven't finished anything. I haven't started anything. I can't revise anything. Like it's a lot, right? And I have a community that I can go to about that. And this is one of those places where like you can start stories with people. You can read a book together. You can read a craft book together. You can and discuss all of these things. And when good news happens for you, everyone's excited about your good news. And you can share stuff and you can share your feelings. And like, it's not that everyone in the Discord is like brotherly per se, but everyone in the Discord does want the best for everyone. You know, and the hosts of the podcast want the best for everyone. And one of the powerful things about it is that in a very short time, Marshall and Nick built a rapport and folded Will into that and folded Brent into that. And so people have this parasocial intimacy with y'all that is really just nice because they're just kind of sitting in while you're doing what you're doing, but it makes them feel included. And then there's a whole group of people who feel thusly included. And so it can build out from there. And, it can become a conversation about what do you want to do differently? I'm thinking right now, I hate that I'm about to say this. I'm thinking about the Try Guys and how like they're going through some shit right now. That's true. But like that's the grassroots shit in the history of ever, because like, there were just four dudes on fucking BuzzFeed, and other people on BuzzFeed have tried to recreate the thing. So that is to say that like, four dudes on a podcast, could just as easily flop because it's happened before. There were, I forgot what the other versions of the Try Guys were. It was like, oh, we'll start a brand, and like it flew like lead. It was perfect. So like value the fact that this is special, and the people who tune in know that this is special, and think about ways that you can share that specialness, because this isn't the breadth of what you can do. Will, you have an MFA, right?
I have a BFA in creative writing.
Got it. Okay. So I think all four of you are entirely qualified to teach. I think the four of you are entirely qualified to do
Brent's like, nope.
a retreat, a workshop, whatever the fuck you want to do. I think you have it. And I also think you have the community. So like, if that intrigues any of you, then go fucking do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the podcast is great, but the podcast for y'all now is kind of routine, and it might be time to add some things in. I don't know.
I mean, I've been asked.
If you should do it, you would be great.
You all should do it.
As
I'm
a
saying
teach or
that
do a
specifically
retreat?
to you, Will.
I'm just saying it would be great to do what Brent suggested earlier, like an online workshop.
We're just holding a retreat.
Like
Yeah,
holding space rather than teaching is different.
Whether we're qualified or not, I won't speak on. I think we are, but
I've already
I
spoken
also
on
think
it's been said.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think we are the ones that are going to be able to create an opportunity in space to be all inclusive. We are going to be able to create. If we do an in-person workshop, you can almost guarantee we will have an online workshop that will simulate the same thing. I just feel like on that note, like we could create something that others aren't, and I'm very confident in that.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know that at least I have had a great partner in LD Lewis in learning how to be inclusive and to make sure all your bases are covered. So yeah, that's definitely something I think we could do for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we could do all these things. I have complete faith in us as a unit. I think like we're like I don't know. I was about to say the Avengers, but we need more people. But greater than the sum of our parts, basically.
Yeah, we complement each other in different ways.
Yeah,
for sure. Marshall, you had your hand up.
Well, I don't want you to be mad at me, but
yeah, timing.
Yeah. So the reason I'm saying this is I have a really good question. I feel like I can ask the group to wrap up our 100th episode, which I think will be very fitting.
Oh man, let's hear it, dude.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to just keep you writing through the next 100 episodes?
Oh fuck! Oh.
And you're all surprised that I asked that question, which is hilarious.
It's not that. I mean, yes, I'm surprised, but also I'm just like, why now?
Because timing is everything, my friend. I come to you last if you want. Nick's going first.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, okay, I'm going first. So what's gonna keep me just writing through the next 100 episodes is actually my next project that's happening after my MFA, which is a planned episodic release of a fun buddy cop with Demon's story that I'm currently planning 4 or 5 seasons for right now through my MFA.
I can't wait to see that happen, by the way. LP, you're
I'm
up next.
excited for it.
Since you're the guest, you're up next. I don't want to put too much pressure on you. You'll be around for the next 100, by the way. Maybe not every single one, because I can see your face, but
we should. I mean, one thing at a time. I'll wait for that group chat invitation. And I bet it's on iPhone, so I can't come. Anyway, I have dreams of like, I call it cashing out, but what I really mean is leaving my job. And I know that's going to require a lot of like focus and discipline. I have a friend who's contracted for 5 books at the moment, and he's not that close to leaving his job. And so I'm like, I have to go that hard and I have to go even harder. And it has to. So what's going to keep me writing for the next 100 episodes? That's 4 years, right? Cashing out, like being at a place where I could make enough to off of various writing streams to leave the restaurant behind. That was not the kind of answer you were looking for, but I'm just being honest.
I mean, I think that's a realistic answer.
My answer
I think that's a great answer. I think that's really, really good.
Apparently mine wasn't realistic.
I think yours was. Oh my god! This isn't like this isn't a compare your dick episode right now, okay? Like it's just everyone has their right
doing it. Stop doing it, Will. I'm right here.
I just need you to go get a washcloth and wipe off those white tears, okay?
Oh my god, dude!
Oh my god, the washcloth again. All right.
If I end up titling this episode "Washcloth," then I quit. I'm just kidding. Brent, you're up.
Me, I'm up. God,
Oh, did I say you were last? Because I can go.
Yeah, you said I was last.
Okay, then Will's up. Will's up. Then I'll go.
Oh, I mean, I'm writing a webtoon that has to be released weekly, so that is 25 pages of what a normal comic would be. That's monthly, and I have to do that weekly. That's going to keep me writing. And I have stories to tell, and every year that goes by, I get more confident that it'll happen. I really think the podcast is going to be a great diary / journal for all of us, that we can listen back and be like, well, I still feel like an imposter. 10 #1 New York Times bestseller books in for all of us. And yeah, like I want the rest of my life from this today moving forward. I just want it to be about art. I want it to be about creating. I want it to be about surrounding myself with people who are creative and moving forward. So that's what's going to keep me writing and creating.
So I'm gonna go, and then you're gonna go because you're last. Mine is similar to Will and LP's in that, going back to what I was saying earlier about wanting writing to be a bigger focus of my life. I want it to be my job at some point, right? And so I love the podcast. The podcast keeps me talking about craft. I would love I know it's insane, but like LP said, like how hard do you have to work to be able to quit the day job? You know what I mean? And I'm hoping at some point I can figure out some way to make writing a big enough part of my life to where the business and the other stuff that I do on the side can offset my day job. Or just get a day job that entails writing, one of the two. But I just want to make that a bigger part of what I'm doing, and the projects that I have planned and the projects that I've plotted and am excited about, I want to see happen. Like Will said, I have stories to tell and I want to write them. So that's going to keep me going for the next 3-4 years, whatever. By then my kids, I hate to say it, are going to be close to the end of high school. Like I still got lots to do. So, I'm I'm excited to see what happens, and I feel like if I work hard enough, I'm gonna keep doing this. Eventually, I'll get there.
All right. So I hate to sound like this. I feel like I'm gonna sound like this stereotype of a tortured artist or some bullshit, but I also want to be real. I honestly don't know. Like right now, not just right now, the past 2 years, writing has just been so damn hard, and feel like I feel like I broke something, and I don't know if I feel like I need time to fix it, and I don't know what that means. I'll be 100% frank. I haven't had fun writing something in a bit. Like a lot of it has just been getting it done, and and yes, I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know if I mean obviously I'm not before anybody takes it there. I'm not stepping away. I'm not quitting or anything like that. Obviously not. But I've put too much into this. But I am just yeah. I haven't had fun with it in a while, and a lot of it's been work. It's been hard work, and it's been like and like I said, I just feel like I broke something because there was a point, and I know I talked about it a little, but and we'll probably talk about it more later. There was just a point where I should have taken a break, and I did not let myself take a break, and I think by not doing that, something got broke in the process. Like I still have so much fun talking about ideas and like thinking about the ideas, but the every time it comes to the thought of like, oh, putting that there on the page, my brain immediately is like, nope, not even at the least bit interested. So, yeah, I think other writers have been in spots like this before. I don't think I'm unique to it, but yeah, I feel like I broke something, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix it. Maybe it means a break. Maybe it means I don't know, going on 1,000 first dates like Charlie Jane talked about in her book. I don't know, but yeah. So I can't answer that question honestly right now, just because yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna. I don't, especially like right now with Bella. It's been just a really hard project, and I think once I'm done with that, I'm just looking forward to not having anything to do for a while. So
What if we had an episode about creative recovery and we like brought a creativity coach on? Would that be cool?
Yeah, I think we would all be down. What if you're not broken? What if you're just leveling up and your
I mean,
skills are trying to get caught up with your creative energy and your well's just dry right now? You still have
yeah,
ideas, but you just can't initiate it because you've leveled up. You're internalizing a lot of things, and it's going to happen.
it's probably a good way of looking at it too. It just feels yeah. It's probably better to think of it that way than to feel like I broke something.
Well,
'Cause-
my sifu would always tell me this when I was a kid, and I was like working through martial arts and everything, and I felt like defeated, and I couldn't do it, and I felt broken. And he would always tell me, well, when you break something, you fix it, you make it better, you make it stronger, and that's what you guys are going through, because you're gonna be better, you're gonna get through it. And I went to see. I mentioned this before, but I went and saw Daniel Jose Older, which I was so nervous. And he said, I didn't write for one whole year. He goes, I was still a writer. He's like, I did not put one idea on paper. He was like, I made myself, I was burnout, and I made myself do a whole year of not writing. And he's like, so I filled my creative well and everything else. And I asked him, I was like, well, what did you do? He was like, well, I didn't have a baby yet. He was like, so, I was with my wife. We had some fun. And I partied a lot, and I listened to music, and I played music, and I hung out with my family, and I did stuff. So you are not broken. You are just leveling up, and all of that's going to happen. And you can take some time out when you're finished that novella and just like fucking relax.
Yeah, I'm
Let,
looking
let,
for
let
it.
me let me throw this at it because this is something that I had a whole conversation with my cohort today from Clarion, and like feeling like there's an archive of everyone who's like submitted work to, not everyone who got in their like application essays, as well as like work that they worked on while they were there. And like I was very much taken aback by the number of people whose names I didn't know. Um, and like in my head, I've started calling them the duds, which is incredibly unkind. Because there are a lot of reasons not to write, and there are lots of reasons why I might not know people. Maybe they did Clarion and they decided, you know what, this isn't for me. Because writing short stories is a great way for everyone to get rich. We know this. Um, because Ted Chiang is the exception and not the rule. Um,
Right.
or maybe it's just not for them. Maybe they decided they're not that serious about science fiction. There are a lot of reasons to stop writing. That's what I wanted. That's the reason why calling them the duds, or thinking that I'm the dud, one of the people who isn't going to write after this, is unkind. But it also had me thinking about when I was at university. I went to DePaul, which at the time had one of the best theater conservatories in the country, and they spend the whole first year softening you up. So like you're taking history of dramatic literature and movement to music and yoga and improvisation, and you're crewing a show, and you don't have a lot of time that's to yourself. So the second year, they can actually get you performing, and like breaking you down, because they softened you up the first year, they break you down, and then the third year they start building you back up again. And if by the end of the third year they've decided they can't build you up properly, you get cut from the program. People have been getting cut the whole way through. There's like 15 to 20 people who make it to senior year. They do showcases and blah blah blah. I think sometimes the way that we write, we are 100% softening ourselves up freshman year, and then breaking ourselves down in sophomore year. We don't have the year 3 or 4. The aftercare doesn't exist. We don't have the systems for that. We know how to push and work and work and work and work and work, but we don't know. No one teaches classes on how to sustain, how to recover, how to do this at a high level for an extended period of time, what that refractory period looks like, and I know I'm in need, but like, there's a version of it where like we can all take a moment to like figure out what it is that we need to do for ourselves, and it's okay to be kind. And I think part of that is this podcast.
And this has been Just Keep Writing, a podcast for writers, by writers, to keep you writing. You can find us at justkeepwriting.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to any of us on our social medias, and please jump in our Just Keep Writing Discord channel. Links to all of that is in the show notes. Lastly, please support our show by going to patreon.com/justkeepwriting. We offer daily writing prompts, early access to podcast episodes, and much more. Thanks for listening, and just keep writing.